Hi, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Collaboration Culture podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Winborne. So we're at a different time. We're doing something a little bit different today. For those of you who joined Tuesday, then you know that the reason why we're doing something different is because our amazing guest had some technical difficulties that were completely beyond her control. The power went out. And we all know that without power, we are at a massive disadvantage, right? So we were able to reschedule, which I'm extremely excited about because a lot of times with guests like her and so many of us, we're so busy, right? We have so many things going on. And when we miss a date, it's hard to reschedule. Well, I was able to reschedule and she is here today. So let me get my earpiece in. I forgot that part so I could be sure to hear her and myself. And we are going to get started by introducing our guest. But let me first ask you, if you do not mind, for those of you who join now, for those of you who catch the replay, if you could please share out to others. This leadership series is so significant. I've been getting great feedback from others about this series. And one of the reasons why I know that this has been necessary series, The Voice of Leadership, is because so many of us are walking in leadership positions, but we don't have the development, training, and skills. And either we feel overwhelmed or the culture that we create, our teams and so forth and so on, see that there is something missing, right? And if you're an accountable person, accountable to yourself, you understand the power of self improvement, self awareness, and self development. You realize that it is important for you to have a leadership voice when you are leading others. For others, they want to be influencers, they want to be impactful, but just don't know how, right? But we all have a voice. We all have a voice. It's just a matter of how are you using the voice that you have? Is it to impact? Is it to help? Or what is it that you're doing in order to make a difference on this earth? Or not, right? And so that's what we're discussing. That's what we're discussing. Are leaders born or are they developed? Are you a leader? Is it something you aspire to be? And how can you go to the next level or the next phase in your life in order to level up? I know some people don't like the level concept, but in order to grow, let's say that, in order to grow from where you are to another space, whether it's on the job, in your business, in your life, leadership is an excellent and amazing tool in order to help you to achieve those things. So, once again, I'm excited about our guest this afternoon. Dr. Theresa A. Moseley, and we are going to be calling Dr. Theresa Her Excellency. And I love it. Her Excellency Dr. Theresa Moseley is a United Nations Peace Ambassador, United States Army veteran, inspirational and motivational speaker, 12 times best-selling author, 3 times international best-selling author, and 3-time award-winning educator, and a retired educator after 28 years of service. Her Excellency Dr. Moseley is the owner and chief executive officer of TAM, Creating Ambassadors of Peace, LLC. Her company provides inspirational and motivational speeches to groups looking for ways to resolve conflicts in the community, schools, and other organizations wanting to create a peaceful climate and culture. She also provides professional development on transformational leadership. Many of you may have heard of that term before, but if you haven't, we're going to discuss that today. What is transformational leadership? What is leadership? What is the voice of leadership? These are all things we're going to discuss. Her Excellency, Dr. Moseley, is also a coach. She helps people discover their gifts and passion, assist them in developing a blueprint for their business, educates them on how to be accountable for the set goals and activities, and encourages networking. The formula she uses helps individuals become successful, fulfilled, prosperous, and have inner peace. As a published author, she writes positive messages in her books about peace, love, hope, and purpose. She uses her life experiences to address thought provoking questions about finding one's purpose in life, and is very overt regarding everyone taking responsibility for creating a peaceful world. Her signature book, Creating Ambassador of Peace, was an Amazon bestseller. So, as you see already, this award winning author, speaker, coach, trainer, leadership expert, all of the adjectives and things that I've stated before, is a woman that we want to hear from. Dr. Moseley, her excellency has been featured in news articles, several podcasts, and now this one, several magazine covers, so much. And I am excited to have this award-winning woman, her excellency, Dr. Theresa Ann Moseley, to join us this afternoon. So let me bring on our guest, Dr. Theresa Ann Moseley. Uh-oh, I think we lost her. Uh-oh. Okay, so while we wait for her to return, I would ask that you join me for a cup of coffee. So while we wait for her, because, you know, the internet, all this stuff, you never know what's going to happen. So she says she will be back. She just messaged me, hang tight. My computer decided to update on its own. Oh my goodness. So the other night she lost her internet, or she didn't have power. So we weren't able to do the show. And now her internet decided to update. Don't you all hate that? Just right in the middle of doing what you're supposed to be doing, the internet, the computer wants to update. Or your phone, you might be doing something on your phone and your phone wants to update. So we're going to wait for her to come back. And while we wait, I am going to have my cup of coffee. I'm going to make my cup of coffee. Are you guys coffee drinkers or tea drinkers? I like both. But as you know, for those who follow me, I've just come out with a coffee line. And so I am going to share with you what I'm drinking today. It's called the Affiliate. Okay. So this afternoon, I'm drinking the Affiliate coffee. And let me share a little bit about my coffee with you. And I'm going to mix it with some almond creamer. I found this almond creamer because I like being non dairy, and it is vanilla flavor. And so, what do you like in your coffee? So, we're waiting for our guest to return. And while we wait, I'm going to make me a cup of coffee. What do you like in your coffee? Normally, I do an oat milk creamer in my coffee, but I found I had gone to the gas station a couple of weeks ago. I was out of town and they had an almond creamer in there, this particular one, and I liked it. So I'm trying that with my coffee today. So we'll see how I like it. I've liked it thus far, but I don't think I've tried it with this particular coffee. Okay. So the coffee that we launched on Father's Day, I talked about it the other day while because I came on even though my guest was not able to join us. I wanted to come on because anytime I put anything out here, I want to be a person of integrity and I want to show up. And so I came on, I shared a little bit about the story of the coffee journey and how I came up with the cowboy blend and Popeye's chili coffee. So I'm not going to share that today. But what I'm going to share is while we wait for Dr. Theresa, a little bit more about the various coffees, right? And why they have the names that they have. Okay. So today I am drinking the Affiliate. And so let me tell you a little bit about the Affiliate, and I'm going to share the label with you. Okay. So the Affiliate is a fresh roasted coffee. It's a medium roast. It's got it's a single origin coffee aged 30 days in a bourbon barrel. It has notes of chocolate and butterscotch, also bourbon notes. And I just love this coffee. One of the things that I know that men like to do is to get together over a cigar, right? And a lot more men today are cigar smoking. It's kind of a cultural thing, a new thing. And so as a result of more men cigar smoking, not all of those men want to drink alcohol. So I thought, as we're building relationship, and this is a way that men are getting together to build relationship. This is a way that men are getting together to represent who and what they are, right? In a setting that works for them. It's not for everybody, but in a setting that works for them, right? So I came up with the affiliate. And one of the things that I really truly love and believe about coffee is it helps to build relationship. And one of the things that I believe about business is that we need each other, right? We need each other. And a lot of times you can gain resources from someone else by creating an affiliate relationship. You can gain resources for your clients by creating an affiliate relationship. So, for instance, through the years, I've had affiliate relationships like with attorneys. So, for my business consulting clients, I would partner with an attorney who could provide them with the tools and things that they need to create contracts. Same thing they did for me to help protect their intellectual property, trademarking, all of those things. And for every person that I would send to them, that was an affiliate client. That was an affiliate relationship that we had. I would receive a percentage, almost like a referral fee. I would receive a percentage from every person that I send and or towards my feeds, right? So that's what being an affiliate is all about. It's creating a relationship of trust where you're able to provide resources to others. So the coffee that I'm drinking today is called the affiliate. So I wanted to share a little bit about that coffee. If you go to coffeeandcollaborations.com /coffee, you'll see that coffee. All right. So that's the coffee, a little bit about that. And that's the cup that I'm having today. And I think our guest is back. So thank you for your patience. I know how to fill time, but I wanted to share my coffee with you today anyway. All right. So while we bring on our beautiful, amazing guest, who we know now her computer is updated, her internet is working, her power is on, and she is ready to go. Dr. Theresa Ann Moseley.
Thank you. I am so pleased to be here to share my coffee with you this afternoon. I have some great coffee to spill. Can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah, I was telling everyone, when we lost you, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to share my coffee process with you today. So I'm making my cup of coffee.
Yes.
And I was telling them I launched a coffee line. So I was telling them what coffee I was making or drinking today and a little bit about it. So let's
All
talk about you now.
right. Yes.
Awesome. So I introduced you. Is there anything that you want to add to what I've said or anything that's updated that I didn't share that you would like to share?
I just want everyone to know that I am living in my divine assignment. You said before, are you born a leader or is it something that's developed? I believe I was born a leader and I developed more as a leader getting older. So
Hmm.
I travel the world talking about, I lead people into peace. I travel the world talking about inner peace and world peace. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to share that I do believe that leaders are born, but I also believe that leaders can be developed. And if you were born a leader, hopefully you've got some great parents or uncles or aunts, someone to nurture your gift.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a interesting conversation that I like to have with people, Dr. Teresa, because I've been doing this leadership series since mid-May, and I've gotten several different answers from several leaders. And I remember the concept of this question came years ago as I was in a meeting with leaders, and that conversation came up. Are leaders born? Is it possible that a leader is born because of all of our experiential learning, right? And so that was challenged that leaders are not born, they can only be developed. And so I love that conversation. I love to hear the various answers. So thank you for participating. Yeah. So let's talk about leadership. Like in your own words, how would you define leadership?
Okay. Leadership, let's talk about the leadership voice. Leadership
Yeah.
voice is very essential because if you have a leadership voice, you can effectively deliver your vision, your mission, your values and beliefs. Having a leadership voice, you can also handle challenging situations if you have a great leadership voice. And also, having a leadership voice can help you establish trust and credibility with your staff or team. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had muted. I'm
Now.
sorry.
I can hear you now. Yes.
When
Okay.
I think of a leadership voice, that's such a broad scope to that because different people take different avenues to look at that concept. And so, from your stance, you're looking at it as a posture.
Yes.
From what I understand, as a posture. So, what about that person who has not been developed into that leadership stance? How then can they have a leadership voice?
Well, that's what I'm all about. I am a
Mhm.
transformational leader. And those that know me know I used to be a high school principal and I had four assistant principals. And
Yeah.
one of my jobs and goal was to develop them as leaders. And
Uh-huh.
even as a guidance counselor, you're developing your students as leaders. You know,
Yes.
even when you are the mother of a family of four, you are the leader in the house and you're developing your children.
Yeah.
So, what I do is I find out what are the strengths and weaknesses. And I don't tell them, they let them tell me
Mhm.
where is it that you're strong and where is it that you think you need to grow. And based upon what they share and also what I observe, because a lot of times what your employees think their strengths and weaknesses are is totally different from what you see. So
Yeah.
coming together and having consensus, we'll work on those. I think it's a transformational leader's big goal is to help develop everyone in their organization so they can maximize their achievement in every area. In schools, it's helping students maximize their achievement academically, socially, and emotionally. But if you
Mhm.
don't know content, if you don't know instruction as an assistant principal, if you don't know how to communicate, then you're going to have a really hard time doing that. And that goes for the classroom teacher as well.
Yeah.
So I develop leaders by first determining what their strengths and weaknesses are and
Mhm.
building upon those strengths. Don't start with the weakness, build upon those strengths and address those weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they really like that. It's called individual consideration. One of
Mhm.
the core tenets of transformational leadership is individual consideration, inspirational motivation, idealized influence, and all of that is inclusive in a leadership voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And I wanted to ask you about that strengths and weaknesses and helping people to understand those. Are you using assessments? And if so, do you have a favorite assessment tool or what assessments are you
I
using assessments?
Yes, I use a Gallup survey, and the
Okay.
Gallup survey will tell you what their strengths are. And mine was positivity, organization. I mean, if you answer the questions correctly, it will really tell you who you are for real. And
Yeah.
then, it also has the weaknesses part of it as well. If you have
Mhm.
this strength, and this is the opposite of that strength, where I might have a lot of empathy for people. Well, the flip side of that is you might let them get away with too much because you have empathy. No, no, a strong leader, a good leader, effective leader can have empathy and not allow them to get away with it, but help them, develop their goals and resources and skills to make them better without having to say, I'm getting rid of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so one of the misconceptions when it comes to leadership, which is one of the reasons I like assessments, such as Gallup, Clifton's, just so many Myers-Briggs, so many others. One that was my favorite is by Florence Lightower called Personality Plus, which is a different version of an assessment. But I like that it helps people to understand that once you understand yourself, you can truly understand others. Now, a leader, I think, wants to be able to understand others. And so it is a part of that accountability process that you talk about, I read about rather in your bio, that a leader, I think, must have in order to be effective. Can you talk with us a little bit about that component of your leadership development strategy, helping guide someone to be accountable, because as you know, everybody is not able to, well, we're able to, but aren't always doing that regularly.
Yeah. So first of all, you have to give them grace.
Hmm.
Some people, I'm a transformational leader and it's horizontal leadership. But at
Hmm.
times I have to take a top down approach because I might be working with someone who needs direct supervision. So
Yes.
the key here is adaptability.
Hmm.
Know who your employees are, know what their needs are, and you use your leadership style based upon what that person needs. I truly
Yes.
believe that everybody has a divine assignment. And it could
Hmm.
be that someone's working in a position that really shouldn't be for them, right?
Hmm.
If that's the case, you need to be gentle to let them, maybe give them some think about. I always ask open-ended questions. Let me
Hmm.
give you an example. Uh, as a high school principal, I had four assistant principals, and one was really great with instruction. One was really great with math. One wasn't too much with instruction, but really could teach content. So I had
Hmm.
to really look at each of them individually, look at their strengths from the Strength Finders Gallup, and say, okay, this is good, but I need to work on this. And then I would sit down with them. I remember
Hmm.
one young man had a problem with, not really a problem, but he just needed more training on observations. And so I sat down with the observation book and I said, these are some things that happened in the classroom. Based upon these things, where would you score it and why?
Yes.
So he was giving me all of the information. And then I had him thinking about, okay, look at the scale. Now, why is that the correct answer or not? Right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I really take an individualized approach to building leaders, to building the capacity of leaders. And when you build their capacity, and they reach their goals, or they're helping other people, it makes them feel good about themselves. And
Yes.
it makes them love the work. Do you know how many people, well, do you know how many people go back to work, like maybe say they get fired or they're not happy and they blow up the place? That should
Too
never happen.
many, too
That should
many these days.
because that leader should know who those people are. You
Yeah.
really need to know who they are mentally, spiritually, physically. You need to know who's in your building and you need to build upon their strengths. And so that's
Hmm.
what I give them individual consideration.
Yeah. So you mentioned that twice, and I love that individual consideration because it is a part of, as you mentioned, that step with leadership. But one of the things that I want to really peg is how you talked about a leader needing to be adaptable, having that adaptability. Because one of the things that I think it's easier to do is point a finger
Yes.
than say, hey, if I go through this leadership journey myself and figure out how I can then be able to work with others by being adaptable, that helps with your own accountability. So it's all a process when it comes to the development level of the individual leader. And so you talk about the fact that you are a peacekeeper, and conflict resolution is something that I know companies bring experts in order to help their infrastructure to be able to move forward and thrive. Can we talk a bit about that peacekeeping journey? Like how did you realize that that's who you were, in order to go down that path to now being an ambassador? So can we
Okay.
talk a little about that?
Yes, I have to tell you my story before I get into that. And that is,
Sure.
when I was growing up in North Carolina, I was a Girl Scout and I actually led my troop. I remember one time the lights went out and they
Mhm.
said, hi, Theresa, have Theresa sing. And I sang this song by Michael Jackson and you could hear a pin drop. These little brownies and Girl Scouts all got quiet. They were screaming and hollering before. My
Uh-huh.
Girl Scout leader said, you know what? You're a leader. I mean, you quieted 800 girls by singing one song. Then, when I joined the military, the very first day of basic training, I was placed in a leadership role. We had to put
Mhm.
together 40 wardrobes. I was 18 years old and the smallest and the youngest person in basic training. I said, we can do this, guys. We don't have to take 8 hours. We can do it in less than 4. Who's really good with directions? And one lady said, I can just look at everything and tell you where everything goes. I said, I need 3 more like her. We have
Mhm.
40 girls. Let's do 4 groups. We put together the wardrobes in less than 3.5 hours. So
Oh,
Sergeant
wow.
says, ladies, how'd you get this done so fast? And one lady said, Baby Moseley gave us roles and responsibilities based upon our strengths. And I said,
Mhm.
oh no, baby Mosley's not going to take credit for something the team did. So even
Yeah.
at 18, I knew not to take credit for something the team did. But I'm building up this leadership thing. When I was a bartender in college, I ran the bar. It was a great job to have if you're a college student, by the way. But
Yeah.
I knew my customers. I knew who drank scotch. I knew who drank beer. I knew who was married. I knew who wasn't married. I knew who
Yeah.
smoked and I knew who didn't smoke. And when they came in, I had the drink ready, the lighter ready. That's when you could smoke at the bar.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I it was like a machine. But I was leading that bar, and all the people, the clients that came in, they wanted me to serve them.
Mhm.
Serve others is something that I do. So when I got out of school and received 3 degrees, ended up as a high school principal, my life changed. I lost 2 students to violence. My first year, a student was shot. I met
Mm.
him 2 weeks before. I was a brand new principal, first year. 2 weeks before he was murdered, I met him in the hallway and we talked about his gift and passion and purpose. And I was so excited. He was going to play pro football, get a house for his mom. 2 weeks later, I get the phone call that he was murdered. The very next year, I lost another student, Israel, a brilliant artist. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, brilliant artist. He was beat to death in a park. I was driving home and I saw the yellow tape and I said, I wonder what happened over there. When I got home, my SRO called me and said, I'm sorry, you lost another student. Israel was beat to death.
Oh
That changed
no.
my life. I started a campaign for no more violence. One school, one community, one county at a time. And the
Mhm.
next one city, one state, one nation at a time. And
Yeah.
I live in Maryland. I'm from North Carolina, but I was watching the news one day and I saw a familiar street. Um, and I said, oh my, I have cousins that live on that street. And the next picture was 2 of my cousins. They were murdered in.
Mm.
So I said, God, what can I do to make this world a more peaceful place? So I went
Mhm.
to a master's class. And there the teacher said the famous Mark Twain quote, there are 2 days that are important, the day you were born and the day you find out why. And
Yeah.
that day I said out loud, the teacher said, Teresa, what is your gift? And I thought about my life. I said, my gift is my voice in speaking and writing and my gift of discernment. I kind of know things. She goes,
Mhm.
what's your passion? I said, my passion is serving others. I served as a Girl Scout. I served in my church when I was 6 years old. I served in the military. I served my parents and students as a high school principal. So my passion is serving others. And she said, so what do you think your purpose is? And
Mhm.
based on all my life experiences, I said, I think my purpose is to make this world a more peaceful place. And
Yeah.
that's my company.
Mhm.
And so I went from having one book to 16 books. I went to having 3 bestsellers to 13 bestsellers. I started traveling
Mm.
to Paris, New York, London. I started receiving awards for my work on peace. And so, and oh my gosh, now it's just, it's amazing. And it's not about the awards. It's that every time I receive an award, I'm in front of people talking about peace and
Yeah.
inner peace. I'm letting people know that if the world needs it and you're good at it, that's your mission in life. And if
Mhm.
you're really good at something and you love it, that's your passion. And if the world needs it, you love it, it's your passion, and you work 9 to 5 and get paid for it and enjoy it, then that is your divine assignment. That is your purpose. That will lead to success, fulfillment, prosperity, and inner peace. I woke
Yeah.
up one morning and I said, I have a really nice house, 5,200 square feet. I have twin Mercedes Benz in my garage, but I was not happy. I was successful, but I was not fulfilled. I was not
Mhm.
fulfilled until I really started serving others and speaking and preaching and writing on peace. And
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah. I love that Dr. Theresa and B. Jacqueline Jeter says Dr. Theresa is phenomenal. Good afternoon to everyone who's watching and who will watch the replay. You, and I agree. You said so much in just that little bit of time. And one of the things that really stood out to me, Dr. Teresa, is that you talked about one at a time in each of those things. So one school, one this, one that, one nation, right? And a lot of times I believe people, especially, this concept of imposter syndrome or whatever, everybody is looking to the left and the right instead of in the mirror in order to say that there is a validation for themselves, almost like somebody else can do this better than me because it seems so massive, right? But when we think what you just stated, when we look at the one at a time, one person, one group, one community, one this, one that, to one nation, you realize that just focusing on the one leads to a massive production of effort, energy, and accomplishment. And that's your story, from what I hear. So you are a trailblazer who, received and achieved so much. You motivate others, and then you just mentioned what motivates you and continues to motivate you outside of the success and everything else is service. Is there anything else that motivates you, that you could share with us?
My dad, who is deceased, my dad died in 1988. And before he passed away, I was the only girl. I had four brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I saw my father alive was my graduation day from college from my first degree at Georgia State. And he was
Mm-hmm.
dying of lung cancer. I didn't know he had lung cancer, but I knew he was sick because we were kindred spirits. And nobody wanted to
Yeah.
tell me what was really going on with my dad. And he
Right.
said to me, I had five children. My oldest son died in a car accident, June. He said, but you are the only one that went to college and got a degree. I'm so proud of you. He said, this diploma is worth millions of dollars. Take this diploma and go live in your purpose. Now, my father had an eighth grade education, but the wisdom of a sage. And I remember
Yeah.
that he was and nobody else could touch my diploma after that. I
Mm-hmm.
framed it after my father touched it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
6 months later, he passed away. And when a parent passes away, it's really tough. I don't know if you've had death in your family, but my father was
Yeah.
my best friend. I sat on my floor. I was living in New Jersey and I cried for 2 weeks. Little bitty thing anyway. I lost like 30 pounds. And I would one day, I was sitting on the floor crying. Yes, daddy's girl, Jackie.
Yeah.
And the voice from within said, Risa, get up. I'm like, oh, what was that? Is that the voice of my dad or is that God? You're still here. Go live in your purpose. I got scared. I said, okay. So I got up, and that's when I went back
Yeah.
to my other degrees. But I truly believe it was the spirit of my father telling me, you're still here for a reason. Now go live in your purpose. And so that drives me. Every day I think about my dad. Every day I think about him. And so I'm making him proud. I am leaving a legacy for our family through my books and writings. I'm leaving generational wealth for my family through speaking and writing. I am definitely living in my purpose. And yes, my father, who is no longer here, but he's in my heart, motivates me. Also,
Yeah.
just children, the state of the world motivates me. Somebody's got to do the work. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about the news and we hear this happened and this happened. And every time my phone, every 15 minutes, there's a mass shooting. You're reporting that, but what have you done about it lately? Like, I truly believe it's everybody's responsibility to make this world a more peaceful place.
Yes.
But it starts when the baby is born.
Mm-hmm.
When the baby is born, there's the first virtue that they learn is trust. It's hope. If I cry, I hope they feed me. I hope they
Mm-hmm.
change me, or I hope they hold me if I'm warm. I take me to the doctor if I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
If that caretaker, be it aunt, mother, babysitter, do not meet that need, they don't learn to trust. Stay with me. When they don't learn to trust, they don't learn to love. When a
Yeah.
child doesn't learn to love, what do you think happens in early childhood, in school, in college, at work? They end up working in your place, not
Mm-hmm.
thinking they can do anything right or not trusting anybody, including you, the leader. And I've had a couple of
Correct.
those. I mean,
Correct.
I have open door policy, but you're still going to have one or two who don't trust you and don't believe you. So establishing trust, once again, is
Mm-hmm.
one of the leadership it's part of your leadership voice is very important. You have to be open. You have to be honest. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have what's the word? Benevolence. Know
Mm-hmm.
what they like and give them what they like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
be consistent. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing more important in leadership than being consistent. Don't
Correct.
do this
Yeah.
for one and not for the other. You have to be consistent and do what you say you're going to do. Now I know that was a lot, but a lot of stuff happens in childhood, and it's childhood
Mm-hmm.
trauma that causes people to act and behave the way they do. but
Yeah.
all is not lost. People can blame their past if they want to. I've had some trials and tribulations, but I'm not out there killing anybody, right?
Right. Right.
Victim. I just recently had a I recently had a young lady reach out to me, and I'm going to share that with you. I was in a shelter for battered women in 1985, 1983, 84, and
Mm-hmm.
a stalker. And this girl recently reached out to me, and she she says, "I've been looking for you. Are you Theresa Moseley?" Hold on one second. Anyway, make a long story short, she says, "I remember you from a shelter for battered women in Atlanta. Are you this Theresa Moseley? You bought me some nice clothes. I was 26 years old. You bought me some nice clothes and you took me shopping and you're with your daughter, Melissa. I just wanted to find you and let you know that you made a positive impact on my life. And I want to thank you." Oh my God. That was recent. I just recently got that email from her. But what
Yeah.
was I doing then? I wasn't in that shelter. I was in that shelter just to protect myself. But I was
Mm-hmm.
in there to lead those women. See, I was an Army veteran. I was a college student and I had a job. Those ladies had nothing. I mean, they were coming from abusive relationships. So while I was there for 30 days, I taught, I preached, I helped them with college applications. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the Lord will put you in situations. It might be a negative thing, but something positive will come out of it. When I received that message
Yes.
from that young girl who is now happily married and in a healthy relationship, my heart. I said, "Oh my God, it is me." And she lives in Germany now and she's not in abuse. She learned what not to do. You don't have to stay in
Yeah.
a relationship. So, once again, all my life, all the experiences, I wrote a book called Passion, Purpose, Peace, Trials, and Tribulations, has led me to this day to tell people that you're going to be okay if you just live in your purpose. If you're a leader, if you're a leader in any organization, be it a school, a Fortune 500 company, it is your responsibility to get to know your employees, to give them individual consideration, individual stimulation, inspirational, motivational, and idealized influence. Idealized influence. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
4 tenets of transformational leadership. And if you
Right.
don't know about them, you could go, I have professional development all the time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
65, but I'm still learning. I read about 3 books a week. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I read
Mm-hmm.
about 3 books a week, and I'm continuing to learn.
Yeah.
Um, but leaders can actually help us, turn this world around. If we
Absolutely.
get to know who our employees are and help them build their potential and get them happy when they go home, they won't beat the wife or the husband.
Mm-hmm.
They won't have the road rage that they have coming from work, or they won't go into the grocery store and cuss somebody out because they passed them in line. You know what I'm saying? A
Yeah.
lot of
Absolutely.
at work. And if you're a leader in a building and don't know your staff and don't know that how you behave impacts them, especially
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about that a little bit later, especially when you have leaders in the building that are targeting people
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
for
Yeah, for
whatever.
sure.
It's just a bad situation, and it could go
Yeah,
south.
you said so much that I could unpack. Um but I want to go to the comment about leadership and the transfer of wealth and wisdom that you are have been able to provide as in the fact that you understand who you are and you understand your role as a leader. So when you've gone into situations that didn't seem so beautiful, you were still able to walk in who you are in confidence that you could lead, that you could provide something to someone in spite of where you are. And I think that I want to share how impactful each individual person can be even when they feel like they're on their lowest, because that's what I got from you in that even whoever is listening, watching, whatever, and is going through anything, you are still able to, if you step into responsibility that yes, I am a leader, yes, I can lead, yes, I am here on this earth for a purpose, like Dr. Theresa is telling us, then you can provide that extra for someone who, especially if you're walking in the light, you can provide that extra something for someone that's in a space of darkness. And so that is the transfer of generational wealth and wisdom that may not be monetary, but it definitely is richness. It definitely is the rich. And so I want to, and all that you said, which you said a lot. And I was over here. I don't know if you saw me. I looked down at my phone because I wanted to share with another group. So
Okay.
I keep looking down so I can share with so I can share with more people, because more people need to see this, even if they watch the replay. So, but as a leader, you recognize there's a great deal going on all around us. You just mentioned that, and that's both nationally and globally. And so there's a lot of noise, Dr. Theresa. How can leaders penetrate and make an impact through the noise specifically? You talked about the four tenets of transformational leader. Maybe that could be broken down even more. But this is your floor, your platform. How can we make an impact through the noise as leaders?
Use your voice. Use your
Mm,
voice for the good of your people, for the good of your folk. I remember, let's talk about what's happening in this world.
yeah.
There's lots of political stuff going on. I'm not going to go into that. There's lots of
Mm-hmm.
violence going on. There, not just in the United States. You talk about the other
A
countries
lot.
happening. Remember what happened in Greece?
Mm-hmm.
Use your
Yeah.
voice to make a difference. And you said something. I'm a United Nations Peace Ambassador, a woman United Nations Peace Ambassador, and I
Yeah.
was sitting at a bar in Orlando, and I was sitting next to a guy who just started talking to me, and people resonate to me for some reason. I think they see the peace. I was on a cruise
Yeah.
also, and I
The
said, "I
light.
like your dress," and I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Thank you." And she said, "I really don't normally talk to strangers, but there's something about you that I wanted to talk to you," and we had a nice conversation. I won't tell you, but
Yeah.
that was divine that she was in line behind me. But getting back to the bar, the young man says, "So are you here for a convention?" I said, "No, I'm a peace ambassador." And he said, "Oh, what does that entail?" And I told him. He says, "Well, that's really interesting." And he started talking. I said, "Listen, just Google my name, go to my website, and you can read my bio," because I was eating dinner, right?
Right.
So
Right.
he went to my website, he read my bio, he went to my YouTube, and he said, "Hey, you're the real thing. This is one person. I need you to come talk to my company about soft skills. Like I can sell anything, but in terms of soft skills, that empathy, compassion, we need someone like you to come in." I said, "You know what?" I said, "If you need that, then I need to write the book," which I am
Mm-hmm.
writing, by the way, the essential soft skills. But let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you what happened with that one person. I went to Geneva, Switzerland for United Nations Peace Ambassador training. And I was on a little boat cruise, and a guy from Jamaica, a pastor, sits next to me and he says, "Your face looks familiar." I said, "Oh, I have a big social media presence." I said, "Have we met before?" He said, "No, but I know your face." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Dr. Theresa Moseley." He said, "Oh my God, you're Dr. Theresa Moseley?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I know where I know you from. A man had your business card from Texas or somewhere, and he said you're going to do soft skills training for his company." I said, "Oh my God, I am 4,000 miles away from the United States." So, God, this must be your way of saying, "Theresa, do the soft skills training and write the book."
Yeah,
So,
like a confirmation, like a confirming.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I love
what's
that.
good about this, talking about your voice now, I
Yeah.
found 18 experts and leaders in these soft skills. So you
Mhm.
can imagine when they get their book to their tribe and this person gets their book and then this training goes on. We have actually impacted the world based on that one conversation. Oh, Jesus, I'm getting that one
Chills, right?
conversation that I had in Orlando with this
Yeah.
strange person that I did not know.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Doctor, go
yeah,
ahead.
my point is use your voice, speak to people, talk it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. One thing about your voice, Dr. Teresa, as you're talking, what I hear in all of these stories is that it is important for you to also, in your peace, to be accountable to who you say you are. Because a person who says they're an ambassador for peace, when somebody interrupts your dinner, you're not gonna cuss them out, right? You're not
No,
going to be rude, right? So what you're doing is showing us, those watching, those who you come across every day, in your actions, that you are who you say you are. And so that's also, I'm sure, your voice and all these other things, the light in you, made him say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to her website and just look and check her out. And then there was something about you that was attractive for him to say, okay, yeah, you're the real deal. I want you. But if had you been rude, and
Right.
not been that person that you say you are. And so this, this is the point here for those who are watching. Many of us say who we are, right? Some may say we're a leader in a specific space, but what our actions show is something totally different. We talk about consistency. You said that a leader needs to be consistent. Well, so many people do not walk in that characteristic as much as they want to. And so that could be the one thing. And that's the thing that I want to really pinpoint here. What's the one thing that we each individually can focus on so that we are authentically becoming and being ourselves, so that what we say and what we have on paper is actually seen by others. And I love that about you, Dr. Theresa, because from the first time I met you to now, I can absolutely say that you are a person of peace. You are a light, you are a
Yeah.
calming person. And that's just to highlight that it is important for us to be authentic to who we say we are. Uh,
Everybody, everybody was born with a gift.
yeah.
Everybody was born with a divine assignment. People can say what they
Yeah.
want to say, but I know one of my gifts is embedded in my leadership skills and my leadership.
Yeah.
Not everybody
Yeah.
can deliver transformational. Everybody can be a transformational leader, but they're not
Mhm.
going to do it like the Teresa's way. So
Mhm.
if you are your authentic self and recognize what your gift is, it's not about you. It's meant to be shared with the world. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And I
Yeah.
just think about if everybody lived in their purpose, if everybody lived in their purpose, if they knew who they were, they would be successful, fulfilled,
Mm.
prosperous, and have inner peace. If you're prosperous, you don't need to go rob a bank. You
Mhm.
know, if
Mhm.
you're successful, you don't need to get by 15 million loans to pay your
Mhm.
bills. You know,
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you have inner peace, you're not going to be violent. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
It
So
does.
I think it's important that families, educators, anybody that has their hand on a child, that you
Mhm.
find out what that gift is and you nurture that gift. I have to tell you another
Yes.
quick story
Yes.
because this is real. As a high school principal, I used to, well, when kids would get in trouble, they couldn't go back to their home school. So I got a lot of kids that got in trouble, and for some reason, they just sent them to me, right? There was one guy, about 6'3", just got out of lockup because he couldn't go back to his home school. So he came to me and I said, okay, do you have your transcript? I need to know what grade you're in. He goes, I don't know what I'm
Mhm.
in. I said, well, how old were you when you went to lockup? He said, I was in ninth grade. His mother was with him. I looked at her and I said, well, I normally accept most of my students that come here, but I need to figure out, where to put you. And so he put his head down and I said, okay, this isn't working, right? So I said, can you tell me what you're feeling? And he
Mhm.
said, I don't know what I'm feeling. And I looked at his mother and I said, okay, just tell me what you like to do.
Yeah.
He stood up, 6'3", and said, I like to draw. I said, oh, you're an artist? He said, yes, ma'am. I said, can you draw me what you're feeling? And I gave him a paper and a pencil and a piece of paper. It took him 4 minutes, but he drew me a broken heart with tears in it.
Mm.
I said, oh my God, Mom, your son's an artist. I said, how long have you been drawing like this? And he said, since I was about 3 years old. I said, Mom, did you nurture this gift? We didn't have any money. I said, so you didn't get him art supplies for birthday, Christmas? Nah. He said, no, we ain't rich like that. I said, oh my God. I said, son, I said, this is your gift. This is your key to generational wealth. This is your key to leaving a legacy for your family. You can own your own art studio, buy a building and put your apartment upstairs and paint every day. I said, if you can draw like this, I know you can paint too. I said, oh my God, let me call my friend and get you some art supplies, right? His
Yeah.
just lit up and then it got somber. I said, listen, I know that broken heart is you, isn't it? He said, how did you know? I said, I have the gift of discernment. I said,
Mhm.
tell your mother what those tears are. Oh my God. He told her everything that he had to say. I was bullied because I was tall and couldn't play basketball. I got blamed for things that I didn't do. Every Christmas and holiday when I wanted art supplies, I couldn't get. And he just let her have it. And then she was crying. And I said, okay, all right. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You have
Mhm.
you have a passion and you have a purpose. Now, unfortunately, that was the one kid that I couldn't accept because he wasn't ready. The
Mhm.
alternative school would offer him semesterized classes so he could really graduate on time. But I
Mhm.
put him on the right track and I told her he needs art therapy. He's going to be fine. That boy was not a bad, what he got, I'm not even going to talk about that. But let me tell you something. That was a brilliant kid. That kid had a gift, he had a passion, and he had all he needed was someone to nurture it. It took me 15 minutes to
Yeah.
pull that out of him. Just imagine if everybody met with their family or friends or teachers and got to really know what
Mhm.
their students' purpose was, what their family members' purpose, and really nurtured them, how different this world would be. Come
Yeah.
on, somebody.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
only one story out of millions that I have. And
Yeah.
I know his life changed that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in education, we're often taught to duplicate,
Yeah.
and not to really necessarily nurture. And so I wonder if not I wonder, I know that this sort of time needs to be put into the educational uh, curriculum for teachers and educators to
It's
be
college
able
program.
to say again.
It's college program. It needs to happen
Yeah.
when they go to school, and it needs to be a required course.
Yes.
As the standard operating principle of schools changes from decades to decades. In
Mhm.
the 50s and 60s, most time you had two parents at home, and they got a lot of nurturing and everything like that. But
Mm.
in the 70s, when the divorce rate was 50%, you had a lot of single families, a lot of fathers raising kids, a lot of mothers. And so the only concept that they had was their school teacher.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to love kids in order to be a teacher. And we
Mhm.
can really help some students, even if they have childhood trauma, we can help them maximize their potential academically, socially, and emotionally just by finding out what their needs are. I keep coming
Yeah.
back to that. Leader, find out what the needs are of your staff. Teachers, find out what the needs are of your students. Get to know
Yes.
who they are, and this world will be such a different place.
It takes listening, though. It takes not following your own agenda, which so many people just want their voice to be heard. They want their agenda to be followed. This is the way that it's been done, so this must be right and not go against the curve. But what happens is we don't listen. And I want to pinpoint what Rebecca just said, because she said, "Thank you to you. This is confirmation. My son just told me that last night. Just sit here and listen to me, mom." That's what her son said. And so it was perfect for her to be here. We talked about, I remember I told you in the beginning, this is an odd day. So I don't know how many people are going to be on, but I saw you go like that. And I believe what I felt in your spirit is who's supposed to be here will be here, because that's the way I operate. And so you were talking about the kindred thing. That's what I felt. And so Rebecca was supposed to hear that. She was supposed to be here. She may not have been able to be here last night. So everything is happening out. Was it last night?
It was
No,
last
night
night
before last. Was it last
before last.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
When that Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, because so everything is happening as it should. But what I got from what you just said is listening, how significant that is in every stage of development of life, in every area of leadership, to listen and to put aside our own whatevers and
Yes.
listen. What were you gonna say?
I want to piggyback on that because as a leader, be it transformational, democratic, or whatever, one of the first things you need to do going into a building, especially if you're new in that building, is you have to establish a vision and mission and values and beliefs with your staff. Don't come in with your own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Have them be a part of that. When I went into my new school, I didn't develop the vision by myself. The
Mm-hmm.
entire staff, I had to have 100% buy-in. When we developed our mission statements, it had to be 100% buy-in. When we developed our core values and beliefs, we were all on the same page. So if something
Yeah.
went awry, let's say, what did we say in our vision? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
did we say in our mission? We said that respecting others was very important. We said
Mm-hmm.
that honesty and trust was very important. So if something happened and that didn't happen, I went back to this is the core value that you helped write, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
that's so important. No matter what, whether it's a school, a Fortune 500 company, if you have a vision and a mission, don't come in with your own. Be collective. Have everybody be a part of that because you can
Collaboration.
collaborate. You can really motivate them too, because if they're part of decision making, that's a whole nother thing. Being part of decision making, hearing all voices and listening, and also listen to what's not being said. You can
Yeah.
listen with your eyes and your ears, but listening with your
Yes.
eyes is just as important as listening with your ears. And
Yeah.
my friend is a skill.
Absolutely. Yeah, and one of the things that happens in cultures, whether it's job, church, day to day, whatever, people do feel like their voice is not heard. And one of the things, so I am a Black woman, as you can obviously see. You are a Black woman. There are other women in the audience as well as those who will watch the replay, right? There are Black men or minority men who watch the show. There are other people who have dealt with various things, right? And so oftentimes we don't feel like our voice is heard in the room. On one of my other shows, we talk a lot about the intersectionality of racism and sexism. We talk about misogyny and just experiences at the table where a man will say something, and this is not even about race. This particular conversation about sex. A man will say something that a woman has just said, and the people in the room hear the man but do not hear the woman. And so, have you experienced misogyny in business or that intersectionality of racism and sexism? And how did you overcome that?
I didn't in the military, but I did
Mm-hmm.
in education. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing is, I speak up. I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I speak up. I say what I feel. I don't allow people to get away with things. For example,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm in a workshop and the facilitator asks a question and I give the answer and I know it's the right answer and they don't say anything, they just go to the next person and it happens to be a male and they give an answer and it's not quite so right, but they give them feedback. I'm going back to it. Well, the question was, you know what I mean? So that's why I use my voice. The question was
Yeah.
this, and isn't it so that da 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 da? So I'm not going to allow people to get away with that. See, for a
Yeah.
long time, people tried to write the narrative for me,
Mm-hmm.
what I
Mm-hmm.
should be doing, who I am. I create my own story. I'm writing my
Mm-hmm.
own narrative. I am not, my father told me, he said, no, you can do anything. My father told me, there is no glass ceiling for you.
That's right.
There is no glass ceiling for you. Everything that I've wanted to do, I've done. And even
Mm-hmm.
people that tried to stop me from being all I can be, you can't because this is divine. Yeah, you get it? So
Yeah.
I can say that yeah,
That's
I
so good.
situations, but no, I'm not the one.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
an inventory one time, not an interest inventory, but I took an inventory one time. And it said that I had just as many masculine qualities as I had feminine qualities. So I was actually the ideal kind of person. So you
Mhm.
know how they say men are strong and caring and providing, and women are gentle and soft and da 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 da. I was right down the middle, which really I use that in my leadership. I
Yeah.
know when to be strong and hard. I know when to be soft and gentle, but it's based upon who you are. I judge
Yeah.
people based upon their needs. So it happens. So it happens too much, in fact. And some people don't have the voice. They don't know
Mhm.
how to use their voice. You need
Mhm.
to see me, Dr. Theresa. I got you.
She said you helped her for sure. And I love that, Dr. Teresa, because like you just said, many people don't know how to use their voice, but they have a voice and it takes others. And that's why we need each other. So many people will just settle on their silo. But we need each other because that it could be that one person that you open yourself up to listening to or to being vulnerable with that can help you to come out of the oppressive situation that you put yourself in sometimes, from mindset and so forth and so on. And so, that's why I love community. I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love connection, community, and obviously collaboration. We've been doing the podcast 5 years now, and the collaboration culture is the culture that I've created. So I started off as Coffee and Collaborations Media, and I evolved to this. I went through a couple different names, but the collaboration culture is the culture that I want to share. So I want it to be in the name, I want it to be everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
so you talked about your dad. You've talked about your dad a lot, and I wanted to share the coffee that when you dropped off and came back. So the coffee line, I launched it with a coffee tribute to my dad who passed away last
Oh,
June. He passed away last June, and so he was kind of a cowboy. So it's a cowboy blend coffee. So yes, I do believe that that. So for me, it's legacy. Is sharing that wealth and wisdom, and that's what you're doing, by continuing to talk about your dad, continuing to live out the words that he put into you. And that's what we can do with our children. Rebecca, you mentioned how much this is helping you, and you'll be able to take this and go back to your son and have different conversations. And now there's a wealth of beautiful possibility that the door has just been opened because you were open to receive from Dr. Theresa. So I just want to highlight the fact that I love that you continue to do the work that you're doing because it's blessing so many others. And I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to share before we close out the show for the day?
yes. Anytime I have a platform and an audience, and I have plenty coming up from Calgary to London, I like to leave people with my quote that I wrote about 40 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
that is, life life is but a short road to our ultimate destiny. Make peace, have compassion, and learn to love before you get there. Peace and blessings.
I love that. Make peace, have compassion. And what was the last part?
Learn to love
Learn
before you
to love.
before
Uh-huh.
you get there. Life is all about love. Life is all about love.
Yes.
And when there's love, there is peace. And when
Yes.
there's peace in the world.
Yes. Hopefully I got this right. You could tell me if I missed a word or not. Okay.
Life is
So
but a short
this is
road. Make peace, have compassion, and learn to love before you get there. Yes, ma'am. That's from Her Excellency, Dr. Theresa
yes.
Ann Moseley.
Now put that in quotes. Okay. So awesome. We are going to end on that note with Dr. Teresa's quote, and all of this wisdom and these nuggets that she has shared for today. Be sure to follow. So I put the link tree up because I love a link tree because it just takes you to all the beautiful places in which you can connect with a person, instead of the individual website and all that. So I hope that's okay, right, Dr.
That's
Teresa?
fine.
All right.
Absolutely.
So to reach out to her, please go to that link tree link right here. It should take you to maybe some of the books, website, all of the ways that you can connect with her. And I look forward to having you back, hopefully again on the
Yes.
podcast. It's been a pleasure, and you have so many nuggets to share. So, I mean, I'll probably be calling on you in other capacities, as you so allow, because
We'll
I
have to
really
we'll have to do
say,
a part 2 for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to. There's so much that you unpack, Dr. Teresa, that in an hour, we couldn't do it justice. But if we could do a workshop or a class or a training or something like that, where we bring others to really get these bullet points
Yes.
of leadership, then that would be so valuable. So we'll talk about that. Yes, Rebecca, love walk. So thank you for joining, Rebecca. Thank you for joining, Jackie. Thank you for anybody who popped on, popped off, and those who will watch the replay. Looking forward to seeing you back here next week with another amazing guest. Once again, be sure to follow Dr. Theresa Ann Moseley and all that she is doing, okay? Because it is powerful, it is brilliant, and it is amazing. And so next week we have on Tuesday back to our regular time, okay, 7 p.m. Tuesday, July 25th, back to our regular time. We will have another guest. I'm going to pull up the flyer, see if I can share real quick just so you'll know. This is a survivor, and he goes around and he talks about his story of survival, but he also Let me see if I could pull this up. I think this is it. Yep. He also has a new single that has come out. So he is an artist, an international recording artist who has an amazing story of survival. So he's going to be here next week on our series, The Voice of Leadership. Our guest, international recording artist, Marcel Anderson. All right. So you guys be sure to join us back here next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. with Marcel Anderson. All right. So Dr. Theresa and I are going to say, have an amazing rest of your afternoon. I know people have to get back to work. And for those who catch the replay, if you could come on, say hashtag, do the hashtag replay so we'll know that you're here. Thanks so much.
This has been a Coffee and Collaborations Media production.